Welcome back to another video, guys. Today we have Guild Wars, something you guys are looking forward to, and I know you guys want to know more about it. So today we're sitting with Stevie from the NMO team, and he's gonna give us a little bit more in-depth information about this new feature that's coming to the games very soon, and I can't wait for you guys to play it. It's looking really cool. And so without further ado, you ready to go?
Yeah, sure. Let's knock this out.
Okay, so the first question is, how did you come up with Guild Wars?
I mean, it's not a new concept for us, not a new concept for gaming. I think as soon as you have something in a game called a guild, people will ask when you can fight guilds against each other. The important thing for us was doing something that was technically possible, which eliminates the idea of you making a move and then your opponent makes a move and then you make a move, because all the server needs for that are very beyond what we can do with the game. And it also means that we wanted something that really helped the players in a guild feel like they were working together towards a single cause, instead of everybody just running on their own track and then at the end you see, oh, we did something. So we had to come up with a system that allows people to feel like they're cooperating, helping each other out, and we have, we built the basis of that, and if it goes well, we'll be able to expand on it as time goes on.
That looks exciting then. So how long have you been working on this big, massive feature?
We did the first planning meetings and sort of brainstorms about, are we really going to do this, and if we did, what would it look like, about this time last year. Every time we've had a big update in between, we've of course had to take a break. So whenever we made new season missions or the summer campaign or many of those other features that have come between, anytime during 2018, caused us to need to put a little break on the development of GVG, but we've always come back to it and continued to develop it throughout the rest of the year in between.
How is the matchmaking in this new mode going to work?
Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated than PC shooters and other games where you can play on demand. We are really prioritizing making sure that whenever we give you a match, it's a match against an opposing guild that is as similar to yours as possible. That way the matches will be fair and exciting. That means that if you were to just show up and hit find me a match, you don't know how long you would have to wait until that comes, and that would of course be boring to wait. You probably die of old age, I don't know, or get bored and go do something else before the match came. So what we're going to do instead is these set matchmaking times. We're thinking right now anyway that we're going to do matchmaking every hour. At the top of the hour, so there'll be a match starting at 1 and at 2 and at 3 and whatever for the entire duration of the event. When you and your guild mates all get on at the same time, you can sign up for that match, and if the minimum number of players in your guild are present, then when the matchmaking time comes, you'll be assigned an opponent. And then everybody gets a notification that says the match that you signed up for is starting, and then you know to come on and play some more. That also means that while you're waiting for the match, you can go play challenge, you can do other stuff, you can watch ads, you can do whatever it is in the meantime, and you're not going to miss the match.
So does this mean that not the whole guild, not all 20 people can play at once in Guild Wars?
Yeah, we also wanted to sort of put some restrictions on that, not to make it harder to play, but to make it easier to play. One of the things we were worried about with a mode like this in other games is that people get burned out really fast. If you're in a guild that wants to be competitive, then the guild will put some heavy obligations or expectations on every member to be there for the entire duration of the event. And people that play No Man's Land have lives, right? Mm-hmm. They play for smaller pieces of time when they can, instead of big blocks of like 2 or 3 days solid. So what we're going to do is set a limit between 7 and 10 players can be in the battle at once. That means that you still need a number of people to play together. It's still a group activity. All the people that you're playing with are in your guild. Up to half of your guild can play at once. So your guild can schedule sort of like maybe morning and afternoon times, and you go A and then you go B and then you go A and then you go B, or whatever it is that your guild wants to do. Everybody will be able to play multiple times, probably 3 times per day. So you can always pair up with different members of your guild and try different teams and see what works best. So we're trying to be super flexible there. But by saying at least 7, we know that we're not going to have a matchup where there's like only 2 members of one guild and 10 members of the other, because that wouldn't be fair. And by saying maximum 10, we're saying that it's okay if you can't show up for every battle, because you can't actually play in every battle. You can play in your 3 for the day, and then the rest of your guild can go on and play the rest. Maybe you can jump in if somebody else missed the spot, or if you notice that the battle started with only 8 and there's room for you to play, you can jump in after the battle's even already started. So we're trying to make it as flexible as possible, but we don't want there to be these sort of very heavy expectations that you're going to give up your whole weekend to play Guild Wars.
Okay, that's cool. So during Guild Wars, because you're gonna be fighting other players as survivors, how do you exactly know which survivors are gonna be used for defense on your team?
Defense is a tricky word because the way the system works, nobody's really defending anything. In Outpost, we set it up so that it looks like you are protecting some of your own resources. And of course, when we took away the stealing mechanic from the rewards, you're not really defending anything that's yours anyway. In Guild Wars, it's more like you and this other guild both have the opportunity to loot or take control of this open territory that nobody holds, and you have to find them and beat the heck out of them and drive them out in order to claim it for yourself. That's sort of the narrative that we're going for here. Imagine the Saviors and the Alexandria guys both found the same truck stop at the same time. And there's going to be a firefight, and some people are going to die, and whoever wins is going to get all the gas that's there. That's kind of the story that we're telling with the Guild Wars. So instead of a defense kind of idea where you should know the layout of the territory and you should know exactly who is going to be attacking you and you should know where your guys are standing, it's much more of a natural, organic, chaotic kind of thing. The question of how do we know which of your survivors are going to be used as enemies for the other team is still very valid, though, and we're just using pure sort of progression data in order to set that. So we're going to take the top so many survivors out of every roster in your guild. Imagine it's 10, and those are going to be the survivors that have the most stars, the highest level. They're more likely to be heroes than not. Because those are the characters that you have told us as a player that you like the most because you've invested the most in them. So you could have a bunch of level 25 guys, but there's that one shooter that's better than the rest and he's got 2 more stars than everybody. He's going to be the guy that we pick to use as an enemy, right? And then when we put him in a team, we're going to put him in a team with 2 other characters. There's going to be a hero in the lead position, so everybody will get to use a hero trait. They're going to have the best weapons that you own for those classes. Again, the highest level and the most stars and the most upgraded. So that way we know that we're giving them gear that is very much like the gear you would give them because it's the gear that you've chosen to level up. So the other thing that this does for us is it removes a lot of screens that aren't actually gameplay, where you're like, what do I want to pick, and do I have to swap gear all the time, and who am I going to position? Those kinds of screens. You're in the game, but you're not actually earning rewards, you're not actually playing. We wanted to cut that part out because it's not action. And it also adds to the amount of time that players have to spend to get this stuff ready. A lot of people we see in Outpost, they like the idea of defense, but then they set it up once and then they don't touch it for a year, right? And so that isn't going to help them be a good Outpost defender. We didn't want to bring that kind of issue forward into Guild Wars. So we're making the choices about which survivors you take, but we're taking the ones that logically are the ones that you would use yourself.
So do badges also play a role then?
Yeah, badges will work. Yeah,
okay.
all the badges, all of the traits that are unlocked, all of the leader traits that you have access to, the hero traits for the heroes that aren't in the leader position, everything is going to tie in. Everything's going to work correctly.
Okay, that's looking good. So what is your main goal with this feature? What do players have to do?
What is the player's goal, or what is next game's goal?
What is the player's goal?
The player's goal is to be a contributing member of their team, to go in with their guildmates and to have something that they can strategize over, to have something that everybody can pitch in and cooperate and accomplish a goal together, which is like, we want to get to the next tier, we want to unlock this reward, we want to be the top of a leaderboard, we want to do better than we did last season. There's all these different rewards or goals that the guilds can set for themselves, but by creating the system, we're allowing people to work together to do something. That kind of working together, we call it relatedness in the business. It means that my actions have an effect on you and vice versa. That's what creates a community over time. That's the kind of thing that happens in challenges that means, we've got these great social communities and chats with hundreds of players in them. I'm sure there have been times when one guildmate has shown up at the other one's house for the weekend and they've just hung out and it was no big deal because they know each other from the game. I've got friends like that from this game and from other games that I've played in the past. Those kinds of friendships are real, and we want to help support that because that's exactly what the players that have been in the game for the longest time have been asking us to help them build. So this goal for us as a company is pretty much the same as the player. Bring people together, give them a way to play, give them a way to interact, give them a way to experience things together, and strengthen the community within the game.
Okay. So when is this going to happen? Is Guild Wars going to be available straight after the update, or is going to occur at certain days of the week?
Yeah,
or
this is another issue that we have plans, but like the length of the battles and like the number of players in a battle, those kinds of things are still up in the air. That's part of what the playtest process does for us. So this information I'm giving is what we think the best chance is now, but of course if we get some feedback, things might change by the time it releases. Guild Wars is going to happen every other weekend. It's going to start on Saturday morning US time. It's going to end Sunday night US time, so full 48 hours. We're going to offset that to UTC so that everybody has the chance to play, but it should give everybody, the full weekend to play. And it's going to run every other weekend so that guilds that don't want to be all Guild Wars all the time still have a lot of time to focus on challenges. Guilds that want to just do the challenge don't have to hear about Guild Wars all the time. Guilds that do want to do Guild Wars all the time will still need time to play challenges and other game modes, to collect their tokens, to level up their characters, to grind for new council levels when they come, that kind of stuff. And again, it's part of the burnout thing. If we did this every weekend or all the time and not even make it an event, it gets a lot harder to know when to schedule your match. So by limiting the time frame to 2 days every 2 weeks, the people who want to play will all be on at the same time. And that means that more people are looking at any given time, and hopefully the matches are better, and everything works out a lot more smoothly.
Okay. So you have 2 days, Saturday, Sunday. Does it mean that one Guild War is going to be lasting for at least a day, or is going to be much shorter than that?
Well, the Guild War, we're using the term war to define that weekend. So a weekend will be a Guild War weekend, and then the next weekend there will be no Guild Wars, and after that will be Guild War weekend again. The individual battles, we're talking about being around 50 minutes, so less than an hour. But with the matches starting every hour, you could take a 10-minute break and jump back in if you wanted to, or you could come back again several hours later as you have time. So you'll be able to play 3 battles every day, and then since there are 2 days in the war, you could play a total of 6 battles in every war, if you wanted to. That's the maximum that someone would be able to contribute.
Okay. So 6 battles every war event, basically.
Yeah, every 2 weeks. And then we have this concept of a season. It's very similar to the way Outpost seasons work. Every guild is going to start from scratch, from the lowest rank, the lowest tier at the beginning of the season. And all of the victory points that you accumulate through playing all of your battles are going to add up, and your guild is going to go up in tiers. You're going to start at Bronze 3 and then go to Bronze 2, Bronze 1, just like the Outpost ranks do. I know it's a little bit backwards from the way that our world counts, but we wanted to stay consistent with ourselves. And eventually, if you play enough and you win most of your battles, you'll be able to reach Master Tier, which is 10 tiers up from where you started. And every time your guild goes up a tier, you'll unlock a new item in this new guild shop that is associated with Guild Wars, where you take all of the rewards points that you've earned from playing in the Guild Wars battles and you spend them on stuff in the guild shop.
Speaking of guild shop, what type of rewards are we going to be getting?
Well, I mean, at this point, the players that we're targeting with this mode are very largely at the end game already, so they don't want supplies, they know how to get XP, they don't need those kinds of rewards as much. And because the shop is a lot like a trade goods shop, the players will be able to pick the rewards that they want out of the list. So of course we'll have some tokens, we'll have some weapons and armor, but we're planning on doing like really big batches of tokens. It won't be uncommon to see 100 tokens in a single bundle in the guild shop. We're also going to make some stuff that is brand new for the game for hopefully every Guild Wars season. So we have a new weapon that no one's seen before, we have a new hero that no one's seen before, and they're going to be found for the first time in the Guild Wars shop. When that season is over, everyone's points that they haven't spent on rewards are going to be erased because every season starts fresh, and every guild is going to go back down to the lowest tier. And then those things that used to be exclusive in the Guild Wars shop will eventually come out into the rest of the game. So people will be able to earn them through other gameplay, or the new hero will end up in the radio calls, but not until that initial season where he's exclusive to the Guild Wars has finished.
Okay. So a lot of unique rewards just for the guild shop. So it's another incentive to play.
Yep, everybody will be able to get the stuff eventually. If they don't want to play Guild Wars, we totally understand. Not everybody has 10 friends that are foaming at the mouth every weekend.
Yeah.
But we do want to give some kind of special benefit to the people who put the effort in to meet up with their team and play as often as they can.
Mm-hmm. And going back to the maps that we have to play, is a player going to be able to finish all the maps and just kill all the enemies before the time runs out? Or
I don't think so, but every time I say something like that, the players go off and prove me wrong anyway. Part of the deal with the Guild Wars setup, and players will see this in the footage that comes after the playtest this week, but the idea is that there's a lot of choices to make over which direction you go, what rewards you're hunting after, which characters you're hunting after, how quickly you want to go up in difficulty. We wanted to provide a scenario where there was really too much to do, and it wasn't about could you complete the whole thing, but it was more about can you efficiently progress as far as you can. Mm-hmm. There will be some guilds that only want to play the hardest stuff. Of course, you'll get the most victory points for each of those missions. You'll get the most reward points for each of those missions. And they'll try to race right through the beginning and go straight to the end where the hardest stuff is. There will be other guilds that know that they'll get a bonus for completing a sector, so they'll want to focus on the lower sectors and get them done before they move forward and collect all of the bonuses as they go. We've tried pretty hard to balance it such that both of those strategies and maybe several others will be viable. We don't want to create a scenario where it looks like there's a lot of options, but there really aren't. It's not also going to be just about like hardcore, how fast can I play, like burning my fingers across the screen over and over and over again to move my guys. Being efficient in the way that you spend your energy, matching the right players against the right missions so that you're not sending the lower progressed players against the hardest stuff, and the guys who can do the hardest missions aren't wasting their energy on the easy stuff, not overlapping in your play. Things like that are going to be very important to being efficient as a team and working together. Like, people are going to start like this. I have this image in my head where the first Guild War battle will look like Black Friday at Toys R Us, where everybody just screams in the doors and goes crazy and grabs everything they can. Awesome. But by the end, after people have played it for a while, I want guilds to be working more like SEAL Team, where they're like very coordinated and they know what to look for and they know how to watch each other's back and they know how to cooperate in a very effective way. Okay. And watching players learn how to do that is going to be very cool.
That's really cool. And because you're going to be playing a bunch of missions, I assume you're going to be spending gas. Is this going to be the same gas you accumulate over from other missions or from...
No, we wanted to separate this out because there's a big... The gas that we've already put in the game, people already know what they can get out of it in terms of the challenge, or those that play Outpost want to spend it on their trade goods and their Outpost influence there. So we've created a second gas that is just for Guild versus Guild, and the way that players will get this gas is very different from the way they get the other stuff. There's no building associated with it in the camp. We're going to give away gas at the beginning of every season. We're going to give away gas as rewards in the distance and the challenge modes. And then the first 5 or so, I think it's 5 gas that you spend in a battle is actually going to be refunded to you at the end of the battle. So even if you're not grinding for any of the gas, even if you're just using the free stuff we give you at the beginning of the season, you're still going to be able to contribute 5 missions into every battle that you play. And then if you want to go grind for more, you know how to get that stuff. We've put some of it in the challenge specifically because we know that people spend a lot of time there and we want to get people to at least try both of these modes. And then if you want even more than that, if you're the kind of player that wants to play, every second of every battle, every Guild War weekend, then there will be some purchase options for you to use. But we're not expecting that anybody's going to have to buy Guild Wars gas to get the best rewards out of the guild shop.
And speaking of purchasing gas, does it mean that we're going to be able to give gas to our guildmates as well?
That's definitely something that I would love to be able to do. I don't know that technically we'll have time to do it in the first iteration, but if it's something that people want, I suggest that they say so. But it's something that I really want to put into maybe the second update that involves Guild Wars. Okay.
So can you play challenges and still participate in the Guild War during the weekend? Because as you know, during the weekend is also the challenge season.
Actually, that's part of the reason why the events overlap and why the Guild Wars is only an hour long. The idea is that if you're out of regular gas, go use your Guild War gas, spend an hour playing Guild Wars, let your gas recharge. Alternately, if you're the kind of person that buys the booster, you can know that you're going to be able to do both to the maximum effect. Use the gas that you have in the Guild Wars. Tell your guild, I've done everything I could. I'm going to go back to the challenges. Keep playing on the challenges. If you have different teams, if you have, say, one team that's really good in whatever the week's challenge is, and you have another team that's perfect for fighting against other survivors, maybe you use the first team in the challenge, and if they get injured, you go off and play a guild war while they're healing.
Okay.
So the idea with the time frame there is that they're meant to fit together. Of course, some people will want to do 100% one or 100% the other. We totally respect that. That's always an option. But we wanted to make it possible for people to do at least a little bit of both if that's what they're up for.
Okay, so people don't need to leave their guild and have their separate guild for just guild wars and challenge guilds.
Well, we are hoping that every guild will be able to do both. Regardless of, and it could be maybe in the 20 people guild that you have, only 10 of them want to play Guild Wars. That's totally cool too, right? The people who play the Guild Wars are going to get the reward points, are going to get the rewards for it. The fact that they have other friends that aren't doing it as often doesn't stop them from earning stuff. There may be some people who want to leave their challenge guilds and make, like, we're just about Guild Wars teams, but those teams are going to have to play challenges if they want to get all of the free Guild Wars gas that they can, right? So the way that we've connected these together, again, it's leaving the option open. If people want to be dedicated to one game mode or the other, then awesome, more power to you. But we're expecting that everybody's going to want to stay with their friends and stay with their social groups, and we've tried to make the system work that way.
Mm-hmm. And earlier you talked about having different tiers in leagues, in guilds. Are we going to have like a new Guild War leaderboard that you can see who the top guilds are of this season? And
yeah, we're working on that feature right now. Players will be able to compare themselves against the other members of their guild, so who's contributed the most victory points over the course of the war or the entire season. And then guilds are going to be able to compare against each other, both for this, say, that weekend or that season or all time. So we're trying to be a little bit more robust with the way the leaderboards work, and provide a bit more information than the challenge ones do, because fingers crossed, if it goes over well, maybe we can lift that functionality out and use it to improve the challenge leaderboards down the road somewhere.
Okay, that's cool. And how is the healing time going to work? Let's say I injure a survivor in Guild Wars, can I still go and play challenges afterwards?
It's all one hospital this time. It's not separate like the distance. So players that have an injured survivor are going to have to make a decision to use somebody else or pay to heal them, regardless of what mode they're in. So that might be a reason why someone wants to build up different teams for different game modes. But you can use any of your survivors at any point in Guild Wars. You don't have to pick a subset of your characters or something like that. So if you want to rotate people in or use slightly lower characters for the easy missions and save the best guys for later, that's totally an option as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and after hearing so much information about this, before that, you talked about gas booster working together with the guild gas booster?
Well, the regular gas booster is not going to change its functionality. So
okay.
If you buy the gas booster, you'll have infinite green gas, normal gas, to play the challenges or whatever other game modes you want. And the Guild War gas is going to be totally separate from that. So it doesn't matter if you're on the booster or not. You're still going to get the freebies from the different game modes. You're still going to get the refund after a battle of the first 5 energy that you spend. That kind of stuff is going to happen. So what I was trying to say there is that no one's going to have to buy the booster just to play Guild Wars.
Okay, yeah. Okay. And final question is, after hearing so much information about this, I'm sure people would want to know, when is this update planned for? When is it coming?
Well, knock on wood, fingers crossed, legs crossed, arms crossed, you're playing this by Christmas. That means that the playtests have gone well. We've been able to adapt the changes that people have asked for. Submission goes well with both of the platforms, and that we don't find any big showstoppers that would prevent us from launching the feature when we want. But there's a point in the calendar where the app stores stop accepting submissions because all the people go on holiday. We like to have holidays around that time as well. So we want to get this submitted before that deadline, actually a week before that deadline, just to give us some extra time to fix something if something goes wrong at the very, very end. But that means that we would be able to get the update out a week or two before Christmas, and then start the first Guild Wars event, maybe even the weekend before Christmas.
Okay, so it's going to be like a nice Christmas gift for everyone, Christmas, New Year gift.
Still a lot to work on, still a lot of things have to go right. But the whole team's been working on this nonstop for quite a long time. I know I'm putting in some late nights. I know other people are working extra hours as well to make this happen for everybody. We're just really excited to finally have this so close to in your hands after all this time.
And obviously you have external testers who are also contributing to
our
this
externals
whole
are
thing.
great. The play test we're running this weekend, I think, is the biggest one the company's ever done for any game or any feature. We have over 100 people signed up. We have people from inside the company playing as well. If you happen to be in the playtest, maybe you'll end up playing against some Next Games employees. You might not know it, but they're in there somewhere. And this will be the second time that external players have played it, and the first batch of input was super useful for us, super motivating as well, because everybody said they had a great time. It really, right now, we're looking for, like, are there any bugs that we haven't found yet? Are there any crashes? Are there any missions that don't work the way they're supposed to? And what do people think about the gas economy and the time frame of the battles? Is it too short, too long, too many people, not enough people? How do we get all that working? And then once the feature goes out, of course, we'll be monitoring everything to see, like, are there too many people that can't find matches? That would be a big problem for us. Maybe that means we need to change it from every hour to every 2 hours. So we're going to be pretty flexible on those things to try to give everybody the best experience. But the more info we can get before we release it, of course, we can put a better version of it out initially.
Okay, so that is, guys, the information for Guild Wars for now. And do you have any final words to say before we wrap this up?
I mean, I've been on the project for over 2 years now. I've always been kind of taken aback and flabbergasted sometimes at just how much attention and energy and love that we get from the community. Sometimes we get some very energetic posts that have a negative tone, but I kind of feel like I know that those come from a position of love as well. If not love for us, then definitely love for the game, love for the community that they've built. Everybody wants to see the people have fun. That's the number one biggest thrill for me in this job, is to interact with players that are having a good time and enjoying the thing that we've built for them. So I hope everybody gets to give Guild Wars a shot, 2 or 3 or 4 shots as we adjust it to perfect it, and lets us know what they think about it once it comes out.
Okay, so that's it for now, guys. I hope you enjoyed this Guild Wars information video. Plenty of information for you to assimilate and to think about and get you hyped up for this upcoming Christmas, because it's gonna be a blast. I'm personally super excited about it. I can't wait. So yeah, that should do it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, I'll see you all on my next video.